Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey Krishna, Purna Sindhu, Dinabandhu, Jagatpade, Gopisa, Gopi Kanta, Radha. There, if there's any hope for ISKCON, it's in the newcomers that didn't swallow the Kool-Aid. That's who will change ISKCON long after I'm gone. It won't be any of these old people. None of them. None of them. They can't do anything. They've all got to just go. And maybe from another generation, just like Gaudiya Math did fall into the slumber of laziness in a sense. You can't say that now. You seen the latest thing with Modi and the auditorium, and they put 100,000 people in an auditorium to hear Modi and glorify Lord Caitanya, and it was for the 100-year anniversary of Gaudiya Math. Yeah? They ain't sleeping no more. They woke up. So in the same thing, maybe in the future, people will just get it right. Or at least it's right in parts already. There are some like ISKCON devotees and temples that we could go to and it would be perfectly nice. But then that would just create something, give the impression, oh, why he's coming to our temples. You don't have anything I want, not even the money, nothing. Nothing that interests me, nothing. But there are people in those groups that take interest in what we have. Even Siddha Swarup, he had, what was his name, Tushta. Tushta was getting all the books, reading all the books that we have, and wrote and said, oh, you're a great scholar. I said, no, I'm not. I'm just a fool. But I listened real close to what my gurus had to say, and I just share that with you. It's not a compliment to call a Vaishnava a scholar, although people like Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada wasn't a scholar. He wasn't a scholar. He was a householder. He was a fired-up disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta. He was not a scholar. And remember what I said about Sanskrit? Everybody studies Sanskrit in India. Especially go back 50 or 50, go back 100 years. He wasn't a scholar. And they say, Prabhupada's books. Well, Prabhupada's books are 90% just translation. Almost the whole Nectar of Devotion is just a summary translation. Paragraph by paragraph. There's a paragraph. He didn't write that. He just translated that. Translation. Then he says something. You go, that's original. It is so rare, actually. He's summary translating. He's reading 3 translations and summarizing that. And sometimes not even doing that. He's just translating Bhakti Vinod. And sometimes he says, Bhakti Vinod says. But that gets redundant when everything you're saying is Bhakti Vinod or Bhakti Siddhanta. It's like I say things, and we'll never say, Srila Maharaj said, Prabhupada said. But a bona fide disciple, the only thing he does is change maybe the vehicle of presentation, the example. He might create a fresher example, like, Prabhupada is writing, and the man who pulls Tela. What the hell's a Tela? He's talking about the Mudha, the person of lower consciousness. And he compares him to a man who pulls Tela. What's a Tela? I don't know what a Tela is. You know what a Tela is? Well, if you're from Bengal, you know what a Tela is. It's that big rickshaw that a man pulls like a donkey, and it's piled up with hundreds of kilos of goods, and he drags that thing through the market in his bare feet wearing a gumshoe, sweating like a pig. That's a Tela. Right? It's just like we're reading, and the hogs and dogs that eat stool.
Night soil.
Yeah. Don't step in the night soil. You know what night soil is? Prabhupada mentions night soil, hogs and dogs that eat stool. I mean, I didn't ever see a dog eat stools, caca. They eat all the stuff from the restaurants and all the stuff. The pig farmers get all this stuff from restaurants. They have bags of good stuff they feed the puercos, right? Dogs? Dogs eat shit? Where? Vrindavan and India. You see a dog chowing down. Kids are out, answering the call of nature, and they got a little stick with their hand. I actually saw a pig. This little 4-year-old kid's passing stool out on the field, and this pig sneaks up behind him, knocks the kid over, and gets a hot halva. Steamy hot halva. And the pig tail's just going, woohoo! Got it, and the kid's plopped out there and got his little stick, chased the pig away. Yes. So, next time I write a book, I'll say, something about the hogs and dogs that eat stools. It's like, what is he talking about? Tela, hog and dog. So those are the only things that a disciple should change. The medium of the example of whatever knowledge you're trying to share. So, but to change that, they've changed everything. Subtly, grossly, so many changes in there. Society consciousness rules, society voting rules. The GBC, they are Prabhupada. That's the philosophy. All right? So they vote on something. 51%, that follows the vote. Right? Does that mean that the other 49%, they didn't represent Prabhupada? And that's why they were outvoted? And there's some guys that are in the 49% all the time. So you would think, get these guys out. Because they don't represent Prabhupada. Only the majority vote represents Prabhupada. So then you would want to have a system in order to pass anything. If this body represents Prabhupada, then they have to agree on something 100%. Because you can't say, well, the 1% that didn't vote for it, he doesn't represent Prabhupada, but the 99% does. Maybe it's the other way around. How do you know? This is bogus. That's how you know. The whole idea is bogus. People make mistakes. But to keep ISKCON from total revolt in 1982, they adopted this philosophy that the GBC body, when it meets, represents the will of Prabhupada. So when they had the meeting to sell the New York building, the Manhattan building, how many stories was that? 11-story building in Manhattan. They had a vote to sell it. That was, if there was a physical achievement anywhere on planet Earth, to have that building from landing on a boat with 40 rupees in hand to 12 years, 11 years later, having a mini skyscraper in Manhattan from which to preach Krishna consciousness, that was an achievement. And they sold it. So did that represent the will of Prabhupada? How's that fly? This is all nonsense. People don't even listen and question. What do you mean? Like I saw this one thing, I think I put it on my WhatsApp. Ask real questions. Demand real answers. Yeah? Well, that's just out in the world today. Question, RT, Russian television says, question more. Question, listen to the answer. Well, wait a minute, that's no answer. You're just avoid, demand answers. It's your right. It's your life. No. And they've created a class of people who don't think. They don't think. And you'll find that Prabhupada's whole mission was to create a thinking class of men and women. Thinkers. People who could think. And who could lead. And who could show by example. Now you got love bomb gurus. They meet you, first time they hug you. If you go to a program, they'll hug you 3 times. So what is this guy? I don't even know this guy. He's hugging me. Love bombers. So anyway, you get me on these things because you have to understand there's a big piece of my life. And Vishnu Maharaj and some of the others here, a big piece of our life. And to see it become what it is isn't something, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. It matters. And anybody, we care. We don't attack. We care. We say, you got cancer. They go, don't say that. Actually, I even brought the green medicine to ISKCON. I went up there to Krishna Balaram Temple and stopped 2 or 3 people that were God brothers that I knew and said, hey, I know we haven't met in a long time, but I just wanted to let you know. I recently had cancer, I had surgery, I had 3 tumors, and I wiped it out completely with the green medicine. I told them all about it. They're like, really, really? And there's so many people in ISKCON who have been cured of cancer and who are presently taking that medicine for different diseases, but prior to my going up there and telling them, they knew nothing about it. And I gave the example, and I even told one of them, one of the gurus of ISKCON, made him the medicine, gave him the medicine and everything. He paid for the cost of it. Gave him the medicine. And I told him, you know, if this was the other way around, and it was me who was dying of cancer, you wouldn't come to me with this information. But I'm not like you. And that's true. If they heard, oh, Narasingha's got cancer, he's dying, tough shit, let him die, we don't care. But when I cured my cancer, I thought, there's been so many devotees die of cancer over these years. And I said, well, I'm going to let them know. And within weeks, one of their biggest gurus was at my door begging that I get this medicine for him. That was, who was that? Indradumna. And, but I told him, I said, you know, if the situation was reversed, you wouldn't be here at my door doing this for me. And that's the difference between me and you, us and them. As it deals with philosophy and other things, I would say over half of the material that we've written has to do with helping them correct their understanding of some particular thing. Omniscience, misconceptions that are preached. And
Jiva.
Huh?
The Jiva.
Yeah, it's almost every single article.
Every text.
Everything. Worship of Govardhan.
You're talking about the fall bodies. You talk a bit about that in this class, and there was one instance where
Srila Prabhupada told our old friend Jagakura Siddhasrukananda Goswami.
was told by Prabhupada, don't teach that we came from Brahman. That's what he was teaching. What was Prabhupada's intention?
Well, first off, Siddha was a Mayavadi of sorts, you know, Kundalini, Mayavadi. And, you know, you let a little air in the window, but then the scorpions can come in, you know. So better just keep the window shut for now. So, yeah, that was, you know, what's out there first in the whole hippie world and everybody is this and Kundalini and Brahman and pure light and all this stuff. And then Krishna says, I am the source of the impersonal Brahman, which is the source of all living entities. Well, don't emphasize that. He's going because people are going to go this way. We're emphasizing this way, right? Just, we come from Krishna. Don't emphasize this. And there was a time, you see, it was him and Gaurasundar, actually. They went on a tour, and they did create havoc with this. Because all the devotees are coming in from, you know, just like you were connected, or not connected, but in that Hindu temple and that Bhogi Yogi and all that kind of stuff. Well intended, but nonetheless Hindus.
Right.
Not real Vaishnavism and everything like that. We all came from something, Shivananda, just something. You know, Buddhism, something. And that kind of preaching just rung other bells in everybody's head. And Prabhupada, from what I've seen, he didn't want to give any scope for the Mayavadi. But if he was still here today and this issue arose, he would not be beating this drum that they beat, you know, of we fell from the eternal Leela of Krishna. He would not be beating that drum. So in the course of just establishing, shortcuts are taken, were taken, things left. But for example, I made this point in my last letter to Guru Prasad Swami, right? I said, well, he says, well, you know, Prabhupada didn't emphasize Gaur Radha Madhava. I said, he didn't emphasize a lot of things. Some things he never said that became very emphasized. Some things he said once, maybe, became very emphasized. Some things he said nothing about, like the sannyas mantra, You take sannyas, you get a mantra. Should we think it has no meaning because he didn't? What the speaker emphasized it, he didn't say anything about it. He didn't say nothing. So is that what your conception should be? Nothing? When you get this mantra, it'll light your eyeballs up. This is like, oh my God, this is the top of the crop of the mantras in our sampradaya. And he said nothing about it. So is that supposed to mean, and if you know something about it, you heard it from somebody else. You heard it from me, Sridhar Maharaj, or Narayan Maharaj. Because we're the only ones who have ever written anything about it. And Mahanidi. Nothing. So what does all that mean? So what it means is, what's this? Prabhupada is 70 years old. He's coming to America. It's Malachadesh. Nobody knows nothing. He's at the fag end of life. He just had a heart attack on the way over. He could die at any minute. And he ain't got time to go into all the details. In fact, he gives the first Artik song. It's wrong. You read the first Hare Krishna songbook, and the song of Bhakti Vinod is wrong. It's missing parts. Why? Because he didn't bring a songbook with him. Simple as that. And he couldn't remember the whole song. And so the song he taught us was mostly the song, but it was missing about 20%. 2 verses missing. So later, though, later, what did ISKCON do? They got the actual songbook of Bhakti Vinod. They went, oh, look at this. So the next time they made a songbook, they had the full song, right? So you can't say Prabhupada gave everything, explained everything. It's emphasized everything that was important. That's not true. And the history is there. And that the GBC is the highest spiritual authority, that's not true, because he demonstrated that it wasn't when he just took their decisions in 1976 and threw them in the trash can and said, have another meeting. Above, and it wasn't just because it was his movement. Really? Is it his movement? It wasn't his movement. He wrote the letters and said, this is not my movement. This is a movement of my Guru Maharaj. He's the one that started this. I'm just his messenger. Duh. But they just want to make it the Adbhut Mandir. You want to build this big temple in Mayapur, right? It's going to cost you $200 million. You're $100 million short. So you're going to go out and collect money in the world. Well, you've got Prabhupada going to build this temple and everything like that, right? That's all cool. But if you can say, this is the temple that Jiva Goswami manifested in the vision of Narottam, and Nityananda manifested this vision to Jiva Goswami. And later Bhakti Vinod had this vision. And we are building the temple that is this vision. And if you're part of that, you're going to go back to Godhead. And they got it. And then people, whoa, dig deep, man, dig deep. Now give, right? And so they've just taken the story of the Adbhut Mandir and applied it to their own collection. And they're collecting millions of dollars. But they're not building the Adbhut Mandir. It already got built. Oh, then that's not important. That's not important. It's just not a temple. It's a temple on the birth site of Lord Caitanya. Not a kilometer down the road in the rice fields. The Adbhut Mandir, if you read these articles, is a specific temple in a particular vision on a particular place. All completed in 1933. But they steal the story because when you're in Australia and Canada and the United States collecting money, you gotta have this story for the Hindus. This isn't just a big temple we want to build. Lots of people in India are building temples. One temple was recently built, 4 tons of gold in India. 4 tons of gold was smeared over this temple. It sits on an acre. The walkways, the pillar, the building, first off, it's immaculate carved granite stone, and then it's gilded in gold. 4 tons of gold on the temple.
Where's that?
It's in Vellore, on the way to Chennai. Now, you can see it online. Amazing, amazing. And other temples with gold and just all this stuff. So the Hindus are like, yeah. So to add to it, they're telling them, no, we're building the temple that was envisioned God sent a vision and you're helping to build that temple. So the Hindus are like, yeah, writing the checks and throwing the money in there because there's false promises, you know, of the greatness that they're going to get by doing this. What is that? Good business. Good business. They're hanging the specialized sign when they actually sell Electra. Understand? They're hanging the sign for giant and specialized, but they're selling, you know, Shadrawi quality. Remember that sign you should do? You should do that. You do one sign. Haridas, you do one sign. It shows a guy with a bike, get an old bike, run over it with a truck, smash the whole thing, just have it like this, you know. And under that sign it says, I bought Shadrawi. And then the next picture, right next to it, split screen, you have a picture of the winner of the, you know, the International Tour de France or whatever, you know, the guy, super first place, big trophy, you know, nice jersey, he's got a Specialized bike there, and it says, I bought Specialized. And you just hang that in your shop. And it's true.
Yes.
You buy this cheap 2,000 peso bike for your kid, that's what it is, a piece of junk. He stands up to pedal it and bends the handlebars and all kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Show that. Well, that's what I say. My challenge is prove me wrong, and I'll be happy to accept it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Purna Sindhu, Dinabandhu, Jagatpade, Gopisha, Gopi Kanta, Radha